It was a calm night in the small town of Willow Creek. The sky was clear, stars twinkling above, and a light breeze whispered through the trees. Lucas, a young engineer, was out for a late-night walk after finishing his shift at the local factory. He had no idea that tonight would change his life forever. As he walked along the dirt path through the woods, something caught his eye. A faint, glowing light was coming from the direction of the old oak tree. At first, he thought it was a flashlight or maybe a trick of the moonlight, but the closer he got, the stranger it seemed. The light was unlike anything he had ever seen, bright but not harsh, almost inviting. Curious and a little nervous, Lucas approached the source of the light. His heart began to race as he got closer. There in the clearing stood a strange metallic object that resembled a spaceship. The craft was hovering just above the ground, its shape smooth and sleek, with glowing patterns running along its surface. The air around it felt charged, almost electric. Lucas stepped forward, his mind racing. Was this some kind of military experiment, or had he stumbled upon something more mysterious, something beyond human understanding? As he reached the edge of the clearing, a figure appeared. It was a woman, unlike anyone he had ever seen before. She was tall, her features striking and otherworldly, with smooth, pale skin that seemed to shimmer under the moonlight. Her eyes were an intense shade of violet, and her hair, long and flowing, appeared to change color as it caught the light. She wore a sleek, metallic outfit that seemed to be made of some kind of material Lucas had never encountered before. She looked at him with an expression of curiosity, but also something else: recognition. "Hello, Earthling," she said, her voice smooth and melodic. "I am Philia, from a distant galaxy." Lucas's mind struggled to grasp what he was hearing. He had seen sci-fi movies, read books about aliens, but never in his wildest dreams had he imagined meeting one in person. I don't understand," Lucas stammered, still trying to process everything. "Are you?" "Yes," Philia interrupted, her voice calm but firm. "I am not here to harm you. I have come to offer you something. An experience you will not forget." Lucas took a step back, his heart pounding in his chest. He wanted to run, to get away from this strange woman and the ship that defied all logic, but something inside him, something deep and curious, held him in place. Philia smiled, her violet eyes locking with his. "Don't be afraid. What I offer is not dangerous. You will learn about me, my people, and how we experience love in ways that may seem alien to you." The words hung in the air, heavy with mystery. Lucas felt a strange pull toward her, an unexplainable attraction. He wanted to understand more, but the fear of the unknown made him hesitate. "Why me?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "Because you are ready," Philia replied simply. "I will teach you things that you cannot learn in any other way. Spend the night with me, and you will understand." The invitation was bold, but there was something in her voice that made it hard for Lucas to refuse. He stood frozen for a moment, torn between fear and fascination. In the silence of the woods, under the vast, starry sky, he made a choice that would change his life forever. "All right," he said, his voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions inside him. "I'll stay." And with that, his world began to shift. The night air felt colder now, as if the world itself had frozen in anticipation. Lucas stood there for a moment, still unsure of what was happening, but the alien woman's calm presence was somehow reassuring. Philia's violet eyes never left him as she stepped closer, her movements graceful, almost ethereal. "Come," she said softly, her voice as smooth as silk. "There is much to learn." Lucas hesitated but followed her anyway, his feet moving on their own. Every step brought him closer to the unknown, and yet he felt no fear, only an overwhelming sense of curiosity. It was as if the very air around him was charged with an energy he couldn't explain. The spacecraft, which had been hovering just above the ground, now lowered even further, resting on its shiny, metallic legs. Philia moved toward the ship with a confidence that made Lucas feel like a mere observer in her presence. He watched as she effortlessly touched the side of the ship, and the surface rippled as if it were alive, changing colors and shapes in response to her touch. "Welcome aboard," Philia said, her voice inviting. With a deep breath, Lucas followed her inside. The interior of the ship was unlike anything he had ever seen before. The walls shimmered with a soft glow, and the air was cool, yet comfortable. The ship seemed to hum with a quiet energy, as if it was alive, breathing alongside them. There were no buttons or controls that Lucas could see, only sleek, smooth surfaces and strange, alien symbols. Philia led him to a large, circular room at the center of the ship. The walls were lined with cushions, soft and inviting, and the atmosphere was calming, almost hypnotic. In the middle of the room was a glowing, translucent orb, suspended in the air by some invisible force. It cast a gentle, soothing light around the room. "Sit," Philia instructed, gesturing to the cushions. Lucas sat down cautiously, feeling the softness beneath him. He could feel his heart still racing, but a part of him was starting to relax. Philia sat across from him, her eyes never leaving his. She smiled faintly, as if she could see into his thoughts. "You're wondering why I asked you to come," she said, "and why I chose you. I understand your confusion." Lucas opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. His mind was full of questions, but none of them seemed to make sense. He looked at her, trying to understand her, to make sense of what was happening. "I've traveled across the stars," Philia continued, her voice soft and steady. "My people believe that true love is not something that happens by chance. It is a bond that must be nurtured, a connection that goes beyond what your species can understand. I have come to show you how we, my people, experience love." Lucas swallowed hard. He wasn't sure if he should feel honored or overwhelmed. He had read about alien cultures in books, but this was real. He was sitting in the presence of an alien, and she was talking about love in a way he had never imagined. "Love is not just a feeling for us," Philia said, her voice growing quieter. "It is a force that connects us all. It is something deeper than anything you could experience on Earth. I am here to share that with you, to show you how we, the beings of the stars, connect in ways that earthbound beings cannot." Lucas was still processing everything, but he could feel something stirring inside him. A part of him wanted to run, to get away from the strange emotions swirling around him, but another part of him, one he couldn't ignore, wanted to stay. There was something in Philia's words, something in her presence, that he couldn't resist. "Are you ready to learn?" she asked, her voice gentle yet firm. Lucas nodded slowly, his heart pounding in his chest. "I'm ready," he said, though he wasn't sure what he was getting himself into. Philia's gaze softened as she stood up gracefully and walked to the center of the room. The soft hum of the ship filled the silence, creating an atmosphere that felt both calming and mysterious. Lucas watched her, his mind racing with thoughts and questions he couldn't fully express. "Now," Philia said, turning back to him, "you will begin to understand." She reached out and touched the glowing orb in the center of the room. It shimmered and pulsed with light, responding to her touch. The air seemed to grow warmer, heavier, as if the room itself was alive with energy. Lucas felt a slight shift within him, as if his senses were awakening to something greater. "This is the ritual of connection," Philia explained. "A bonding ceremony between two beings who are ready to understand love in its truest form. This is not just about the physical, it is about the emotional, the spiritual." Lucas's heart raced, unsure of what he was about to experience. Philia's calm voice, however, made him feel oddly at ease. He nodded, even though part of him was still overwhelmed by the situation. Philia stepped closer to him, her eyes glowing softly in the dim light. "In my world, love is not something that can be taken lightly," she continued. "It is a sacred bond. We connect on every level, mind, body, and soul. We open ourselves completely to each other. There is no hiding, no holding back, only truth." Lucas listened carefully, unsure of how to respond. He had always thought love was just something people felt, something they gave and received. But the way Thalia spoke about it made it sound deeper, almost like a force of nature. He wanted to understand, but it felt like he was standing at the edge of an unfamiliar world. She held out her hand to him. "Trust me," she said softly. "Let go of your fear. This is about connection, not control. About knowing each other fully and completely." Despite his nerves, Lucas reached out and took her hand. The moment their skin touched, a wave of warmth washed over him. It wasn't just physical. It was as if he could feel something deep inside himself shifting. His mind, his heart, and even his soul felt like they were being opened up to a new possibility. Thalia guided him to his feet and placed his other hand on the orb. It pulsed with energy beneath his touch, as though it was responding to their combined presence. Lucas felt a tingling sensation move through him, not painful, but powerful. It was as if his emotions and thoughts were becoming clearer, more focused, as if he was beginning to understand something he had never considered before. "This ritual," Thalia explained, her voice soothing, "is not about us changing you. It's about revealing the truth within you, unlocking the potential you've always had. You will see yourself as I see you. And in that moment, you will understand what true love is." Lucas closed his eyes, focusing on the energy flowing through him. The world around him seemed to fade away. He felt connected to Thalia, not just physically, but on a deeper level. He could almost sense her thoughts, her emotions, as if they were becoming one. It was overwhelming, yet there was something comforting about it. He realized, with a sudden clarity, that love, true love, was not just an emotion. It was a connection that bound everything together. It wasn't something to be feared. It was something to be embraced. As Lucas opened his eyes, he saw Thalia smiling softly at him, her violet eyes full of understanding. "Do you feel it?" she asked. Lucas nodded slowly, his heart filled with emotions he had never known existed. "Yes," he whispered. "I feel it." The room was silent now, save for the soft hum of the ship and the sound of Lucas's breathing. The connection between him and Thalia felt stronger than before, almost tangible. It was as if every part of him, his thoughts, his emotions, his very being, was in perfect harmony with hers. He could feel her presence, her warmth, and a deep, unspoken understanding that seemed to flow effortlessly between them. Thalia stood still, watching him, her violet eyes never leaving his. "You've begun to understand, but there is more to learn," she said, her voice soft but clear. "What you feel now is only the beginning. There is a deeper connection that exists between us, a bond that cannot be broken once it is formed." Lucas tried to process everything that was happening. The feelings swirling inside him were intense, overwhelming even. He had never experienced anything like this before. It was as if a door had been opened inside of him, and he was seeing the world in a completely different way. Emotions he had never allowed himself to feel were now rushing to the surface, and for the first time in his life, he didn't want to shut them down. He looked at Thalia, his heart racing. This is more than I expected," he said quietly. "I never knew love could feel like this. It's not just about being with someone. It's about understanding them on a level I never thought possible." Thalia nodded slowly, her eyes filled with compassion. "Exactly. Love is not just a feeling. It is an experience, a journey. And in that journey, we discover not just each other, but ourselves. You've only scratched the surface, Lucas. You have so much more to uncover." Lucas swallowed, his mind still spinning from the connection they shared. "But how do you do it? How do you connect like this so deeply? It feels so natural for you, but for me, it's like I'm learning everything all over again." Thalia smiled softly. "It is natural for us because we have evolved to connect on this level. For us, love is not something to possess or control. It is a bond that is free, that flows between two beings who are open to each other. There is no fear, no hesitation, no pretending. only truth and understanding. Lucas felt the weight of her words sink into him. He had always believed that love was about finding the right person and making it work, but now, after what he had experienced with Thalia, he realized he had been wrong. Love wasn't about effort or struggle. It was about connection. It was about letting go of the walls he had built around himself and allowing someone else to see him, truly see him, in a way he had never allowed it before. He closed his eyes, letting the feelings wash over him. For the first time, he allowed himself to feel completely vulnerable, completely open. It was terrifying, yet liberating at the same time. The connection with Thalia was growing stronger, and with each passing moment, he felt as if he was understanding more about himself than he ever had before. "I've never felt like this," Lucas whispered, almost to himself. "I didn't know it was possible." Thalia moved closer, her presence enveloping him like a warm embrace. "You have only just begun to feel it, Lucas. Love, in its purest form, is something beyond what you can imagine. But you are ready now, ready to see the world through new eyes." Lucas looked up at her, his heart full of emotions he couldn't yet fully understand. But for the first time, he wasn't afraid. He was ready. Ready to learn, ready to connect, and ready to experience love in a way he never thought possible. He took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment settle in his chest. "I'm ready," he said, his voice steady. Thalia smiled, and in her smile, Lucas saw the promise of something incredible, something beyond anything he had ever known. The journey had only just begun. The room felt strangely peaceful, yet Lucas's mind was still racing. The bond between him and Thalia was undeniable. He could feel her emotions, her thoughts. Everything about her seemed to be open, laid bare. It was an experience unlike anything he had ever known. There were no walls between them, no barriers, just pure connection. Thalia was sitting beside him now, her presence calm and reassuring. She had said they were just getting started, that the journey was far from over, but Lucas wasn't sure what to expect next. The feelings he had were overwhelming, and he wondered how he would be able to handle them. "You're thinking too much," Thalia said with a soft smile, as if reading his mind. "Let go of your doubts, Lucas. Feel what is happening. Trust it." Lucas exhaled slowly, trying to clear his mind. But it was hard. The emotions swirling inside him felt like a storm, pushing him in different directions. He had never been this open with anyone, not in his entire life. He was used to keeping his feelings guarded, locked away. But with Thalia, it was different. It was as if he couldn't hide anything from her. And for the first time, he didn't want to. "I don't know how to explain it," Lucas said, his voice quiet. "Everything feels so intense. I've never experienced love like this before. It's not like anything I've ever known." Thalia's eyes softened as she turned to face him. "You are learning, Lucas. Love is not a simple feeling. It's not a fleeting emotion. It is a force that exists beyond what you can see. My people, we do not love in the same way humans do. For us, love is a connection that transcends time and space." Lucas listened closely, trying to understand. He had always thought love was something that happened between two people, a connection that grew over time. But what Thalia was saying was different. It wasn't just about two people. It was about a bond that connected everything. It was a force. "But why show me all of this?" Lucas asked, his voice filled with confusion. "Why me?" Thalia took a deep breath, her gaze distant for a moment, as if she was lost in her own thoughts. "Because you are ready, Lucas. You have the potential to understand love in a way most humans never do. Most people are afraid of the kind of love I am showing you. They are afraid of vulnerability, of being open. But you are different." Lucas felt his heart skip a beat at her words. Was it true? Was he really ready for something like this? He had always thought he was just a regular guy, nothing special. But the more he was with Thalia, the more he realized that he was changing. He was feeling things he didn't know were possible. "I never thought I'd be open to something like this," he said slowly. "But now I feel like I've been missing out on something important, something that goes beyond what I thought love was." Thalia smiled, her face glowing with warmth. "Exactly. Love is not meant to be kept in a box, Lucas. It is meant to be free, to flow between two beings in a way that is pure and untainted by fear. You are learning to embrace that freedom." Lucas felt a weight lifting off his chest as he spoke. It was as if the walls he had spent years building were finally coming down, and as they fell, he could feel his heart expanding, filling with a sense of peace he had never known before. "I think I understand now," Lucas said quietly, looking at Thalia. "Love isn't about what we've been taught. It's not about control or ownership. It's about connection. Real, true connection." Thalia nodded, her eyes glowing with approval. "Yes, Lucas, you are beginning to see what my people have known for centuries, and you are beginning to understand what it means to love without limits." For the first time, Lucas felt truly free. Free to feel, free to love, free to be himself without fear. The connection between him and Thalia was not just physical, it was something much deeper, something that went beyond anything he could have imagined. He wasn't sure where this journey would take him, but for the first time, he felt ready to face whatever came next. "Thank you," Lucas whispered, his voice full of gratitude, "for showing me this." Thalia's smile deepened, her eyes sparkling with warmth. "You're welcome, Lucas. The journey is just beginning." The days seemed to blur together for Lucas. What started as a strange, unexpected encounter had turned into something far more profound. He found himself waking each day with a sense of purpose he hadn't known before. The connection between him and Thalia had only deepened, and now he was beginning to understand what she had meant about love being a force, a bond beyond what he had imagined. Thalia, however, had more to share with him. More than just the emotional connection, more than the intimate bond they had built. She wanted to show him the wisdom of her people, knowledge that was as old as the stars themselves. One evening, as the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, Thalia led Lucas to a small room inside her ship that he had never seen before. It was unlike the other parts of the ship. This room was filled with glowing symbols, strange diagrams, and floating holographic images of distant galaxies. The air was thick with a quiet energy, as if the room itself was alive with ancient knowledge. "Here," Thalia said, her voice gentle, "is where we keep our greatest treasure, our knowledge. The wisdom of my people, passed down through generations." Lucas looked around, feeling both awe and curiosity. He had always dreamed of space, of exploring the unknown, but nothing in his life had prepared him for this moment. He had no idea that such knowledge existed, hidden among the stars. Thalia moved toward one of the floating images, and it shifted in the air to show an intricate design, a map of stars and planets, connected by lines of light. The image pulsed gently, as if alive, each star represented by a small dot that gleamed in the darkness. "This is the map of my people's journey," she explained. "We have traveled across galaxies, witnessed the birth and death of stars, and discovered civilizations beyond your wildest dreams. But the greatest discovery has always been love, the force that connects all life." Lucas stepped closer, his eyes fixed on the map. He had never thought of love in such a grand way. For him, it had always been a personal feeling, something to be shared between two people. But now, with Thalia's words, he was starting to see that love was more than that. It was a force, a thread that tied everything together, across planets, across galaxies, even across time. As Thalia spoke, she pulled up more images, ancient civilizations, long-forgotten worlds, and strange, glowing plants that seemed to pulse with energy. They were images of beauty and complexity, showing the connections between all things. Lucas could feel himself drawn into the images, into the knowledge they held. It was overwhelming, yet strangely comforting. "Do you see?" Thalia asked softly. "All of this is interconnected. Life, love, knowledge, it all exists as one. In my world, We believe that love is the glue that holds the universe together. It is what allows us to understand the mysteries of life. Lucas nodded slowly, trying to grasp the enormity of what she was saying. His mind raced, but he felt as if he was beginning to understand. Love wasn't just an emotion or a fleeting feeling. It was a part of something much larger, something that transcended space and time. He looked up at Thalia, his heart full of questions, but also of wonder. How did your people come to understand all of this? Thalia smiled, her eyes full of wisdom. Through years of exploration, through trials and mistakes, we learned that the universe is not just a collection of stars and planets. It is alive with energy, with emotions, and with connections. And love, true love, is what binds it all together. Lucas took a deep breath, feeling both humbled and awed by the knowledge Thalia had shared with him. He had come into this journey thinking it was just about an encounter with an alien woman, but now he realized it was about so much more. It was about understanding the universe in a way that no human ever had before. I want to learn more, Lucas said, his voice filled with determination. Thalia's smile deepened, as if she had been waiting for this moment. Then you will, she said, her voice warm. The journey has only just begun. You said. Lucas sat quietly in the room, his mind still swirling with the knowledge and emotions that Thalia had shared with him. It felt like he was living in a dream, caught between two worlds. His life on Earth, where everything seemed familiar but limited, and the world that Thalia had shown him, a world of connection, love, and cosmic understanding. He felt like he was on the edge of something incredible, something that could change everything he thought he knew. Thalia stood by the glowing map, her presence calm and steady. She was no longer just the alien woman who had arrived in his life unexpectedly. She had become something more, an ancient traveler, a guide to a world Lucas had never imagined. The bond between them had deepened, and with it, the questions that tugged at his mind. Thalia, Lucas said, his voice breaking the silence. All of this, it's incredible. I've never felt anything like it. But what happens next? What do I do now? Thalia turned to face him, her eyes warm and full of understanding. What happens next, Lucas, is up to you. The words hit him harder than he expected. He had known, deep down, that this moment would come. The moment when he would have to make a choice that would change his life forever. I've learned so much, Lucas continued, standing up and walking slowly toward her. About love, about connection. But I still don't know what to do with all of this. I'm just one person. Can I really change everything? Can I join your people, leave Earth behind? Is that even possible for me? Thalia's eyes softened, and she stepped closer to him. You don't have to leave everything behind, Lucas. But the question you must answer is this. Are you ready to embrace the truth you've learned? Are you ready to live your life with the knowledge that love is not just an emotion? It is the force that binds the universe together. You have the chance to join us, to live among the stars, but it is not an easy decision. You would have to leave behind your human life, your old ways, and everything that has shaped you. Lucas felt a tightening in his chest. The idea of leaving Earth, of never seeing his family or his old life again, was terrifying. Yet the thought of staying on Earth, of living a life without the understanding he had gained through Thalia, seemed impossible now. I don't know if I can make that choice, Lucas whispered. I feel like I'm being pulled in two directions. Thalia reached out and placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. That is the hardest part, Lucas. The choice between the familiar and the unknown. Between what you've always known and the possibility of something greater. But you must decide what kind of life you want to live. A life of limitation or one of boundless potential. Lucas took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her words settle in his chest. He had always played it safe, always stayed within the lines. But now, everything had changed. He had felt the truth of what Thalia had shared, and deep down, he knew he could never go back to the life he had before. It was like a door had been opened, and once you saw what was on the other side, there was no going back. He looked up at Thalia, his mind made up. "I'm ready," he said, his voice steady. "I'm ready to embrace this truth, to learn, to grow, to love in a way I've never known." Thalia smiled, her face glowing with pride. "Then you have made your choice, Lucas. The journey will not be easy, but it will be worth it." For the first time, Lucas felt a sense of clarity and peace. He didn't know what the future held, but he was ready to face it. The path ahead was uncertain, but for the first time in his life, he felt like he was exactly where he was meant to be. "You are ready," Thalia said, her voice filled with certainty. "Now we begin." As the days passed, Lucas found himself becoming more and more immersed in the new reality that Thalia had shown him. The world of endless connection, of love as a force that binds the universe together, was becoming his new truth. Every time he looked at Thalia, he saw not just the alien woman from another world, but a guide, a mentor, and something even deeper, a companion. The connection between them had grown stronger, their bond stretching beyond the physical into something much more profound. They spent hours together, talking, learning, and experiencing the beauty of the universe through Thalia's eyes. She taught him about her people's philosophy of life, how they connected not only with each other, but with every living thing. She showed him the wonders of her world, the cities that floated in the sky, the fields that shimmered with strange, bioluminescent plants, and the oceans that seemed to glow with the light of distant stars. But more than that, she shared with him her own inner world, the thoughts, the emotions, and the deep knowledge she had gained from a life lived among the stars. One evening, as they stood together by the glowing edge of the ship, looking out at the stars, Thalia turned to him with a soft smile. "Do you see it, Lucas?" she asked, her voice full of warmth. "The stars, the planets, the endless stretches of space, they are all connected by the same force that binds us." Lucas stood next to her, his eyes following the stars as they twinkled in the distance. He had never felt so small, yet so incredibly connected to everything. For the first time, he understood what Thalia meant. The universe wasn't just a cold, empty space filled with floating rocks and dust. It was alive, pulsing with energy, with love. He could feel it in his very bones, a sense of belonging he had never known before. "I understand now," Lucas said softly. "It's not just about us. It's about everything. All of it is connected. Love is everywhere." Thalia nodded, her eyes shining with approval. "Yes, and now you see the truth. You understand that love is not something we seek or possess. It is something we become a part of. It flows through us, around us, and through all things." Lucas felt a wave of emotion wash over him as the enormity of what she was saying sank in. He had always thought love was something personal, something between two people. But now it felt like something much bigger, something that touched everything, that connected him to the stars and beyond. "It's incredible," Lucas whispered. "I never thought I'd understand love like this. I thought I was just looking for someone to be with. But now, it feels like there's so much more." Thalia's smile grew, and she reached out to touch his hand. "And now, you can never go back to the way you were. Once you understand love in this way, there is no turning back. But that's the beauty of it. The connection deepens, and you begin to see everything in a new light." Lucas looked at her, his heart swelling with emotions he couldn't fully express. The woman standing before him, an alien from another world, had opened his eyes to a reality he never knew existed. And now he could feel the truth of what she was saying in every part of himself. The love between them wasn't just a feeling. It was a connection that had expanded, stretched out to include everything around them. "I'm not afraid anymore," Lucas said, his voice steady. "I'm not afraid of the unknown. I'm ready to keep learning, to keep growing, to love like you do." Thalia's eyes sparkled with pride. "That is the first step, Lucas, and it is a beautiful one." In that moment, as they stood together under the endless expanse of stars, Lucas knew his journey was far from over. The path ahead was filled with unknowns, but he no longer felt fear. He felt ready. ready to embrace the connection that had been awakened in him, and to love in a way that transcended everything he had ever known. Together, they would explore the vastness of the universe, bound not just by their connection, but by the love that tied all things together. And as the stars shimmered above, Lucas understood that his life would never be the same again. It was just the beginning. The days were flying by for Lucas. The more he learned from Philia, the more he understood the deep, profound nature of the bond they shared. But as time passed, a new question started to nag at him. The more he explored the universe, the more he realized the intensity of the connection they had created. It was not just emotional or spiritual. It was something much deeper, something that had begun to feel almost eternal. One night, as they stood on the balcony of the ship, looking out at the vast expanse of stars, Lucas couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more Philia hadn't told him, something important that he needed to know. "Philia," he began, his voice quiet but filled with uncertainty. "You've shown me so much about love, about the universe, about how everything is connected. But there's something I've been wondering." Philia turned to him, her violet eyes soft, as if she had been waiting for him to ask. She could sense the shift in his emotions. "What is it, Lucas?" she asked gently. "I can feel it," Lucas said, taking a deep breath. "The connection between us, it's strong, and it's growing stronger every day. But it feels almost too powerful, like it's changing me in ways I didn't expect. And I don't mean just emotionally. I feel different, in ways that are hard to explain." Philia studied him for a long moment, her expression thoughtful. Then she stepped closer to him, her presence steady and calm. "Lucas," she began, her voice softer now, "what you are feeling is the result of our bond. When two beings connect on the level that we have, it's not just an exchange of emotions or thoughts. It becomes a deeper, more permanent connection, a connection that can transcend time itself." Lucas frowned, trying to understand. "But what does that mean for me? I'm not like you. I'm human. I don't know if I can handle something like this." Philia's eyes softened with understanding. "The bond we share is not just a bond of love. It's a bond of eternity. My people, we can live for centuries. Our connection to each other, to the universe, is what gives us our longevity. But for someone like you, someone who is human, it is a different path. If you continue down this road, if you continue to deepen our bond, it will change you. It will give you the potential for something different." Lucas's heart raced. "Are you saying I could become like you? Live forever?" Philia nodded slowly. "Yes, but the price of immortality is not without sacrifice. You would have to sever your ties to your human life. You would have to leave behind everything you know, everything that makes you who you are." Lucas's mind reeled at the thought. The idea of living forever, of being able to see the universe unfold and experience everything that life had to offer, was tempting. But the idea of leaving everything he had ever known, the earth, his family, his friends, was unbearable. "But is it worth it?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. Philia stepped closer to him, placing her hand on his. "The choice is yours, Lucas. You can stay as you are, human, bound to the limitations of your world, or you can join me, join my people, and see the universe in a way no human has ever seen. But it will change you. It will make you something different." Lucas looked down at her hand, feeling the weight of her words. He had never felt so torn in his life. The desire to experience everything, to understand the universe, was powerful. But the price, leaving behind his humanity, was too high to ignore. "I don't know if I can do it," he whispered, his voice filled with uncertainty. "I don't know if I can let go of who I am." Philia's voice was gentle, but firm. "You don't have to decide right now. This journey is yours to take, and the choice will always be yours. But you must understand, this bond, this connection, is not something that can be undone. Once you choose, there is no turning back." Lucas closed his eyes, feeling the weight of the decision pressing down on him. He didn't know what the future held, but he knew that whatever choice he made, it would define the rest of his life. And in that moment, he realized that the journey he had started with Thalia was far more than he had ever imagined. It was a path that could lead to greatness, or a path that could forever change who he was. Maybe I'm not ready for this, he said quietly. Maybe I need more time. Thalia smiled, her eyes full of compassion. Time is something we both have plenty of, Lucas. Take it. Think carefully about what you want. The universe is vast, and there is no rush. Lucas nodded, feeling a strange comfort in her words. He knew that whatever decision he made, it would be the beginning of something monumental. And for the first time, he wasn't afraid. Whatever came next, he was ready to face it.